So I forget who said it, but somebody once said that tragedy plus time equals comedy. And that's kind of what this video is going to be about. So there have been times in my life where tragic things that have been very tragic, even traumatic, have happened, and then a few years pass by and I think back on them and I discovered that they're actually really, really funny, but at the time I was just so upset by them I couldn't cope with them. And so I've kind of developed over the years this coping mechanism of being able to figure out of how to take some things that, should and even do really upset me, but see the bizarre angle of them, the bizarre nature of them, and to just kind of turn around and go, that's really funny. So there's that. I was going to do the Bagman suit for this just because it's a really funny suit, then I just, got thinking, I like Spider-Man 2099, they really need to do a Spider-Man 2099 movie, so part of this video is to make sure they do a Spider-Man 2099 movie. Come on, people. So, this is to do with my father. And so we'll kind of give you kind of the history of me and my father. So when I was a kid, my parents divorced. And my father was actually quite fun to be around at this time because, I'd see him once a year for, the summer, basically. I'd go, visit him wherever he was currently living. He eventually ended up in Washington State. But, I went, like, to Pennsylvania, to Georgia, to all kinds of places as a young kid on essentially a free vacation. And it was pretty great. I got to get to know my father pretty well, and it was, it was a great relationship in that regard. He wasn't around all the time, but, it was a pretty good relationship with him. But when I grew up, our relationship became a little bit different, a little bit strained, and part of that is that a lot of the things that he loved when I was growing up, that helped shape my own likes and dislikes, not just like in political sense or anything like that, but in the sense of just entertainment things that he liked. And for example, Douglas Adams. He was a big fan of Douglas Adams when I was a kid, and he got me interested in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I still love a lot of Douglas Adams' work. But nowadays he's just completely and totally uninterested in Douglas Adams. So it's really kind of an odd thing. At least for me, it's very odd, and it makes it a lot harder to try and discuss things with him and discuss, it's hard to find common ground for us. And there were a few things where we had some differences, so on. At one point, he asked, I think I mentioned this before, actually. He asked about my, if I was homosexual, which I'm not. I never have been, and and I would think he'd know because we spent plenty of time in my teenage years. He's saying, "Oh, is that a cute girl? You think that's a cute girl?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's a very cute girl. I'm totally interested in that girl." So I don't know how he got the idea that I might be homosexual, but I informed him, no, it's not something. It's just not my thing. And then he launched into what was obviously a prepared speech about how, oh, it's okay, it's fine, and so on. And that, no matter what your intention is with that, it kind of it just made me feel like my father just no longer connects with me or understands me, and if I have an issue or problem, he's not going to follow it or understand what my problem or issue may be. So, those sort of things happened. Well, I thought we were starting to connect again this year. So, every year, and, even though we don't connect, he has me send him a list of things I'd want for Christmas and my birthday. And so this year, I had which is super nice of him, even if we don't connect, I appreciate the gesture. So this year I had included a couple of Blu-rays of classic movies. One of them was Yojimbo, the old Akira Kurosawa movie, which I personally think is the best Akira Kurosawa movie and best samurai movie. Okay, side issue here. I know most people would say Seven Samurai or Rashomon. I just really enjoyed Yojimbo more than those two. I'm just saying. But each their own, right? So yeah, I put that on the list, and I put just the really, truly exceptional movie Rear Window, the original directed by Alfred Hitchcock, on the list, which I've loved Alfred Hitchcock since I was a kid. So, you know, these were just two classic movies I absolutely loved and wanted on Blu-ray. And, you know, my father had liked samurai movies when I was a kid. I didn't know if he still did, but yeah, he was still, you know, he was excited that I'd asked for these, and he gave them to me for my birthday. So we started to connect and discuss over it, and it felt like we were connecting again. So that was a great, you know, it was nice that I was finally once again connecting with my father. I thought there was a street there. But I was finally connecting with my father again, and it was nice, or it felt nice. So, you know, I'd been wanting to share something with my father that I personally enjoyed. I thought he would really enjoy, and that would be an anime called Cowboy Bebop. He hasn't always been into like anime or anything like that, and truthfully, neither am I. But I really, really enjoyed Cowboy Bebop. I thought it was just a great show, regardless of it being an anime or not. It's, at least in my mind, it's pretty much the anime. Some people may agree or may disagree. It just depends on who you are. But each their own, once again. Anyway, I'd wanted to share it with him for a while. You know, it was, you know, had some good drama, had some good comedy, some good action. It was just all around something he would enjoy. At least I thought. And so I decided to, you know, I didn't want to send him a copy of it or a few of the episodes and have him never watch it. So I thought, okay, let me kind of test this with my father. So I sent him a link to YouTube and the church shootout scene, which I think is probably one of the... It's a beautiful scene. It's a great anime scene. Go ahead and look up on YouTube Cowboy Bebop and church scene, and it should be the first thing that comes up. It's just this incredibly... It's just a beautiful looking scene, and I think it rates... I'd rate it as like one of the best scenes of all times, not just anime scenes. It's really well done. And so I thought that would appeal to him, so I, sent him a copy, explained, you really, don't really need to know anything more than you know from the video. It's just, it's just a great scene, and I think, you would really enjoy it. So, and... I wasn't sure if he may just not respond. I wasn't sure how he would respond. I was fully expecting that maybe, well, he'd just be like, yeah, no, not going to check it out and not going to respond to that. I kind of expected that. Or, something along the lines of, well, I'm just not interested. Instead, he sent me 2 texts. Now, the first one, it said something along the lines of, I doubted I'm set in my ways, except he took a lot longer to say that. And... I couldn't quite tell. Okay, and then let me relate second text before I go into details about the first text. Second text was just kind of a very, very long text about how he realizes my life was hard and he should have been there more for me and things like that. And they were so... It was so odd and so out there that, I read it through 3 times before I was able to say, okay, I think this is meant for me. But even having read through it several times, I'm still not sure if he wasn't accidentally texting someone else. That's how out there it was. The answers seem, once you think about them really hard, to make sense. First one saying, yeah, I'm set in my ways. I'm not going to be interested in watching this. Which I think is what he was trying to say with it. And the second one, just kind of a speech he had prepared from a long time ago about, how he felt vaguely guilty about, how he reared me as a child or whatever, which, like I said, I really enjoyed my time with him as a child, so I'm not... I can see why he'd feel guilty, but I don't think it's justified for him to feel that way. But it was a really, really odd response. And it just, yeah, it's one of those things where it's quite funny, actually. It's really quite funny because it's such a non sequitur response that you're like, what? And on the other hand, it seems deeply tragic for some reason, but I'm not entirely sure why it should be deeply tragic. Maybe because it's like, okay, once again, you're not relating well to your father. Which I was kind of already there. I had hopes that that was just a phase we were both going through and it would be over, but I suppose it would be tragic to not relate to my father. But I'm also just gonna come right out there and say, it's a really, really funny thing when you can't figure out if the person texted you accidentally thinking you were someone else, or if that was actually their response and you couldn't make sense out of it. It was just something, you know, at least for me, it was really funny, and I did want to kind of find it cathartic to share it. If you're watching this, I did decide to post it. I think it's entirely possible I may not decide to post it after watching it, but we'll see. Anyway, here's beautiful New York. Spider-Man 2099 should be made into a movie. What are people thinking? And that's about it. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.